welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is a show we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, and comic books. On today's show, we're going to be talking DC movies. That's right, guys. There's a couple stories that have come out lately in regards to the DC movies, some in the extended universe, some allegedly not in the extended universe. So I'm going to sit back, run through some stories, going to talk about it, and then you guys fire back on the social media account or the Gmail account. Let me know what you think about these recent events. So, starting off, it was announced last week, it looks like, that the Shazam movie has gone through some recent rewrites. So, according to the director, David F. Sandberg, he was talking about kind of certain rewrites that was going on with the script, and he spoke with Film Riot and said, quote, "It's the next DC movie to be shot," in regards to Shazam. While there aren't many details, he said there's going to be a much more light-hearted tone, and as of right now, Black Adam, who is said to be played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, is not going to be in it. Said, quote, "There's been a variations of script, like before I came where, variations where Black Adam was in and out, and, but now this is about Shazam," saying that the film is pretty much going to focus on Billy Batson's character, a.k.a. Captain Marvel, a.k.a. Shazam, and that they'll possibly be focusing on his enemy, Black Adam, played by Dwayne Johnson, a little later on. Now, the film is set to come out April 2019. A little bit of changes going on there. That's fine, It was several years ago, actually, when Dwayne Johnson announced via social media that he was going to be playing the character of Black Adam in the DC Extended Universe. It's been several years since then. There hasn't been much movement on the Shazam movie front. At Comic-Con, they did announce they're still working on it, but still no word about, Dwayne Johnson as Shazam. This kind of gives us a little understanding that plans have changed a little bit. Black Adam, he's kind of the foil to Shazam, and he's also a very complicated character who can carry his own film. Now, whether this changes a response to Dwayne Johnson saying, "Hey, I don't want to be second fiddle, I want to do my own thing," I don't know. I mean, Dwayne Johnson, he's a very charismatic actor. I love following him on social media. He's great on Instagram. But I don't think he has the kind of ego where it'd be like, "Hey, I want to be the star." Now, they could do two separate films, one Shazam, one Black Adam, and then have them meet up. But I don't know. I don't see it going that way, because Black Adam is like the Joker for Shazam, the Lex Luthor, the Doctor Doom. He's the arch enemy of Shazam. And yeah, he's got storylines where he's not all bad, and you can kind of see his reasoning, which I can see why Dwayne Johnson is attracted to the character. I can definitely see that. I can see him pulling it off. Definitely, not doubting Dwayne Johnson's ability to pull the character off. But at the heart of it all, he's still a villain. He's still a questionable character going up against this lighthearted little kid, Billy Batson. And unlike, say, Batman or Spider-Man or Superman, Shazam really doesn't have a lot of rogues gallery. That's something I was talking about a couple weeks ago in regards to the Venom movie, was they were going to do Carnage as the main villain. Well, that's great, but what are you going to do for a sequel? You put him against his main character, his main villain, and where are you going to go from there when he faces kind of the ultimate bad? I think the best way to look at this would be to go back and look at Jeff Johns' current Shazam storyline that he did a couple of years ago, kind of the origin story, so to speak, of Shazam, or Captain Marvel, as some still call him, and how he faces off against Black Adam and that. I think that'd be a good place to start, especially the fact that it's going to be, that's mainly an ensemble piece, because it's about not just Billy, but also the Marvel kids as well, and how he gives them powers through the power of Shazam. So that's kind of what I'm thinking they should do for it. So that story is going to develop as it goes along. We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, at this point, especially when it comes to the DCEU, I'm not really a believer in anything until they start shooting it, which kind of goes along with the next story here. Deadline is reporting that Warner Brothers is developing an original Joker film that is not connected to the DC Extended Universe. So allegedly, Hangover director Todd Phillips is co-writing the script as well as directing the film alongside producer Martin Scorsese. So this film is said to be a gritty and groundbreaking hard-boiled crime film, set in the early 80s of Gotham City. Now, this is interesting. It kind of caught people by surprise a little bit, I think. So let's kind of break it down a little bit. So first off, you had Todd Phillips writing and directing a Joker film. I love Todd Phillips. I really do. He's done some great movies. Old School that he directed is my favorite comedy of all time. I used to watch that movie on repeat in college. Like one semester, literally me and my roommates would come and watch it every day. I know it by heart. I love that movie. And I also love his other movies. I liked Hangover. I like Starsky and Hutch. I like Road Trip. I loved his recent one, War Dogs. That was one good one with Jonah Hill and Miles Teller. I love those. That was a good one, actually. I really like that. Now, can he direct a Joker film, which should be, in my opinion, not funny? I mean, yes, it's the Joker. He's a clown, but he's psychotic. I mean, he's messed up in the head. It should be more like Seven than really, The Hangover, in my opinion. So I don't see Todd Phillips being a good fit for this. Now, I think he is a talented enough director to where he's trying to make that transition over to more dramatic stuff. I totally, applaud his efforts. But when you do it with something like this, the Joker, a character who is so put up on that pedestal and people are expecting a lot of, I don't know if a transition of this sort, I don't know if this film is a good place to grind your teeth on, or whatever. What's the catchphrase? What is it? Start off on, I guess. I forget what there's some kind of analogy with teeth and starting off. I don't remember what it is. Now, one thing I think people are at least Warner Bros. Is trying to get people to focus on is that it's produced by Martin Scorsese. Now, I'm not sure as far as Scorsese, his producing credits, what he's been involved in, but I can tell you about another famous director of mine who I like a lot of his films, who's also a producer, by the name of Steven Spielberg. If you don't know, Steven Spielberg is the executive producer on all the Transformers films. They do that, I think they literally just pay him so they could put his name on screen to give people hope. And all the last couple of Transformers movies have sucked balls. But guess what? Steven Spielberg's name is still attached to it. Now, I don't know, Scorsese could be one of those guys who's, very involved producer. There are those producers that are highly involved in the film. But I don't see Scorsese I don't see this as his footstep into the comic book genre. And I don't see, with Taxi Driver and Raging Bull, you could kind of put those in the same context or in the same area as maybe a solo Joker film. But I don't know, it's a far-fetched for me to see Scorsese do this kind of comic book film. I think he'd much better if he did something less known. I could see Scorsese being involved in something less, like Southern Bastards or what's that one? It's not Saga. It's I can't think of it, guys. I'm sorry, but yeah, something not so superhero-ish, but still based on a comic book. Scalp, that's what it is. Scalp, that's the one I was thinking about, guys. I can see him getting involved in something more like that than something of this caliber. So with this, I feel like he may not be as involved, especially when you have Todd Phillips, who is, again, I think he's more capable writer and director, whether it be for this genre or not. I feel like Scorsese's name might be attached to this just to give people the idea of, hey, yeah, we got this comedian guy to direct and write the film, but don't worry, our crime and gritty guy, Martin Scorsese, is going to be there too, which may or may not be the case. I don't know. So the second part of this story is that it's not going to be connected to the DC extended universe. Now, Warner Brothers has spent the last couple years trying to catch up to Marvel Studios in the cinematic universe world. They started out way back in 2010. They did Green Lantern. That was supposed to be their start off, and it fumbled. So then they started off with Man of Steel. You had Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, and we got Justice League coming out in November. The only one of those films that I feel has actually been a success is Wonder Woman. Because to me, for a film to be successful, it's got to be liked by most of the critics, liked by most of the audience, and make a decent amount of money. The only DC Extended Universe films that have made that hit that whole criteria is Wonder Woman. Man of Steel, Suicide Squad, Batman v Superman. Again, I'll defend the ultimate cut of Batman v Superman because I think it is a great film, but they butchered the theatrical cut so bad that I feel it's unwatchable, especially after watching the ultimate cut. You can see just how much they just destroyed this film just to try to save an extra half hour of time, and in my opinion, I feel like they tried to make a Batman film by cutting out all Superman's scenes. But that's neither here nor there. They're not having as much success with their cinematic universe than I feel that Marvel Studios is. And now you have Justice League coming out in November. And that's kind of been plagued by a couple of setbacks. We had the whole drama with Zack Snyder and losing his child, so he had to step down. So Joss Whedon has stepped in to do major reshoots. Not just like a month or so. We're going on several months of reshoots to where people are saying, asking who's going to get the credit for the film, Joss Whedon or Zack Snyder. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. But then again, there is that little rumor as well where the first cut of Justice League was unwatchable and this and that. And I feel like that's how it's going in Hollywood, where people saw Marvel Studios do something unprecedented with a cinematic universe. And everyone saw the Avengers and like, oh my god, they made billions of dollars. We need to do that so we can make billions of dollars. And it doesn't work that way, people, okay? You have, just because you try to copy a formula, it's like, let's see, you do a copy of a picture, okay? And guess what? It's not as good. Then you do a copy of a copy, and it's even worse. Just because it works for them doesn't mean it's going to work for you as much as you want it to. The Universal, the Monster Cinematic Universe, okay? They're trying to get that thing. They tried Dracula Untold, with Luke Evans. That didn't pan out. Then they said they're going to start it off with The Mummy with Tom Cruise. I don't know if they still have plans to extend from there because they still have Javier Bardem and Johnny Depp and all of them set to go on their own movies like Frankenstein, The Invisible Man. I don't even know if that's still going on right now. But with this story and the next story that I'm about to talk about, it makes me feel like Warner Brothers might be rethinking their whole cinematic universe thing. Because when they had everything separate, like Superman movies and Batman movies, and had them all separate, it worked better for them. It did. Now, that's not to say that's not what I want to see. I would love to keep seeing a cinematic universe. I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But also, I like how it works. I like how there was a master plan by our Lord and Savior, Kevin Feige, and it's all worked out. They changed a few things, but nowhere near what DC and Warner Brothers has done with, changing their entire game plan a dozen times. And if, abandoning this whole cinematic universe thing is what works for them, then that's it. That's great. Now, they are saying that this is not part of the DC cinematic universe. Just like they're saying now, it came out today, that the Ben Affleck Batman movie, or I'm going to go ahead and say the Matt Reeves Batman film, is not going to be part of the DC extended universe either. So it was about a month ago, I think they said, let me find the article, guys. Okay, it was an interview with KCRW. Matt Reeves was talking about the Batman film and said, quote, I have a vision for a way to do something with that character that feels like it resonates with me personally and a perspective that can grow out into other things. When they, meaning Warner Brothers, approached me, they said was, look, it's standalone. It's not part of the extended universe. Now, some people can take it as a way that meaning it's not, like the Joker one, just a personal film by itself, or it can mean that it's actually going to be a prequel like Wonder Woman was, that was going to be set before the events of Batman v Superman, before we first saw him, to where he's not going to get bogged down by all that story and what came before it. Personally, that's the way I see it. He ended the quote saying, "It's a new story. It's just starting again. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be really cool." So, this has kind of got people on edge as well, mainly because of what's been going on with this Batman film. So, originally, it was starting out that you had Ben Affleck directing, starring, and writing the Batman film for Warner Brothers, which was going to be part of the DC Extended Universe. Rumors were going around that maybe Affleck was not going to direct the film. And I remember he went on Jimmy Kimmel. No, was it Kimmel? I think it was Kimmel. He went on. And he said, "I'm not going to direct it unless the script's good." Well, come to find out, the studio was not going to use the script. And after Affleck said, "Yeah, I'm going to direct it," days later or a week later said he's not directing it. And then there was those rumors right before Comic-Con that said that he was actually out as Batman, that Justice League was going to be his last out as Batman, and he was done. But of course, days later, he comes on stage for Comic-Con and says, "I'm still Batman." That really didn't answer the question, because, yeah, you're still Batman, but are you going to still be Batman 5 years from now, is really what the question was. So, Warner Brothers and everyone involved keep denying it, saying there's anything wrong with Ben Affleck being Batman, when in case everything else we hear from everyone else, except for the official sources, say it's not true. And it's like they've been trying to put out a fire that's been blazing for maybe 6 months now, in regards to Ben Affleck and what's all going down. So what you kind of take away from this, or what you can kind of ponder, is the fact that, when he set to do Batman, people were kind of stunned why he did this deal, because he just won an Academy Award for directing Argo. He didn't win the Director Award, which people complain about, but Argo won Best Picture. So people are wondering why, when he was on his way to Oscar caliber films, he would step back and play a superhero. And he said that, it's mainly for his kids. He thinks it's cool that his kids can say that their dad's Batman. I get it. That's great. Good stuff. He's a big Batman fan. But I myself, along with some people, knew that there was more to this deal, to where he wasn't just going to play Batman. Not only was he going to probably write and direct Batman, because that's what he was getting more of a name for, but also I'm sure he had some other movies that he wanted to get done that Warner Brothers would push through if he did Batman for them as well. Well, all these other doubts start coming in about, they're throwing out his script, and they got a new director, Matt Reeves, and honestly, it looked like, they were kind of taking everything that Ben had worked on, along with Jeff Johns, he co-wrote the script with him, and throwing it out. So, if someone tells me, yeah, you can do this job, no problem, you do it exactly how you want, it'll be fine, and then they slowly say, oh, we're going to go this direction, or we're going to go that direction, no, we're not going to use the script, I'd be a little pissed off, too, to be honest. So, I feel like, Ben Affleck thought he was going to have more control, and Warner Brothers, who is very protective of Batman, and I totally understand why, because it's their bread and butter when it comes to their DC characters. I think somewhere along the way there was that breakdown, much like there was a breakdown at Lucasfilm with Phil Lord and Chris Miller about how they wanted the Han Solo film to go. I think it's the same thing at Warner Brothers. Somewhere along the way, Ben Affleck was ready to go, and Warner Brothers was like, wait a minute, this isn't what we want to do. And then from there on, it's just been a total breakdown, and I feel like for the last 6 months, they've been doing just cover-up after cover-up, trying to hide the fact that Ben Affleck is going to be gone and no longer be Batman after Justice League. But they can't announce it till after Justice League comes out, because guess what? If Ben Affleck has doubts in DC's and Warner Brothers plans for their films or even Justice League, it's going to hurt Justice League box office. There's no doubt about it. So they really have to try to play cover-up for the next, 5 months or so? Till Justice League is out for a good amount of time and it's made a good amount of money. So when this story comes up, the thought goes up, well, they just announced that they were going to do a standalone Joker film that was not going to be connected to the DC Extended Universe. I can see that. I can see that as a separate piece. Again, kind of a crime drama. I want to compare it to like Seven, where I would love to see something where there's Joker and no Batman. I'm gonna I don't want to say like Gotham per se, but it's really what Gotham should have been. Have Gordon and Harvey Dent, hunting down this sadistic killer. And now that I'm thinking about it, that would be great. What if you do, like the movie Seven, where Joker is the Kevin Spacey type character, and then Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman's character are like Jim Gordon and Harvey Dent. Boom! I can see now. That's the kind of film I can see Martin Scorsese getting behind. I can totally see that. That's what I think would work. Going back over to Batman, I don't think they're going to abandon Batman being in the DC cinematic universe if they're still continuing it that way. Because, again, like I said, Batman's their bread and butter. They're not going to take that away. What I think is going to happen, and this is just me thinking out loud, is they're going to go back. Much like they did with Wonder Woman. They saw how well it worked for them to go back and tell more of an origin story. I don't want to see a Batman origin story. I don't think anybody else does either, because we've seen it enough in recent years. But let's go back and tell the story, honestly, of Robin. Let's go see what happened to this Batman that made him put away the cape and cowl until Superman showed up and made him come out of retirement. I want to see that story. You can make it 3 films. You can make it 1 film. I don't care. But going back that many years, say we're probably going to have to go back, 10, 15 years? I'm betting money that they're going to go back, tell a prequel story, and get a different actor, a younger actor, in that role, and then that's going to be your new Batman. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this is their way out of switching off Ben Affleck. Now, you can say the easiest route would be to just switch him out, get a different actor. You don't have to explain it or anything, because there have been many Batmans. I mean, in, the 4 Batman films in the 90s, technically it's the same continuity. You had Michael Keaton the first 2 films, then you had Val Kilmer, then you had George Clooney. That's all one continuity. So you can just switch him out. Just get a different actor, no problem there. But if you want to do it a more sophisticated and more complicated way, which I don't know why, telling a prequel story like this and getting a younger actor to say this is a younger Bruce Wayne or a younger Batman is something that would not be out of the realm of possibilities. And that's just my 2 cents on it, guys. Of course, this is just another string of changes and ideas that Warner Brothers has had for their DC projects. And to me, it just goes to show again that they literally have no fucking clue what they're doing over there at Warner Brothers, okay? No clue. Comic-Con gave me hope. Joss Whedon was on board. They announced all these films that I feel like made sense. And now I feel like they're back to going all over the page again. They're like a little child just scribbling up and down on the wall, doing whatever till they think it might make a picture. It's really saddening from a perspective where you know how great these characters can be, and you see them mishandled so poorly. I have hope. I do have hope because, Joss Whedon took over Justice League, which I love Joss Whedon. Wonder Woman was good, and of course, Batman v Superman Ultimate Cut. So in my mind, out of their 4 films, okay, I didn't like Batman. I didn't like Man of Steel. I didn't like Suicide Squad. Batman v Superman, I think of the Ultimate Cut, and that's a win. Wonder Woman is a win. So to me, I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt to where they're half and half. They're at 50% with their films right now. But I got to remember that they chose to release that theatrical cut of Batman v Superman over the Ultimate Cut, which was, just 30 minutes more and a much more complete film and story. It's frustrating, guys. So I don't know what they're going to do. Again, this is another string of movies. All the evidence points to Ben Affleck not going to be Batman, even though they keep on saying, no, he's going to be Batman. He's still Batman. No. And I think they're trying to put out a fire, and the fire just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And at some point, I think they really just need to bite the bullet and say, okay, Ben's not going to be Batman anymore, but we got somebody else. I think that's maybe what they're going to do, is maybe they'll announce Ben's not going to be Batman when they announce the new Batman. That the problem is, it's going to be a story of, proportions, no matter who it is or when they do it. The main story is not going to be who's the new Batman. It's going to be Ben Affleck wants out as Batman because he doesn't have faith in Warner Brothers or something along those lines. It's going to be the dotted line of the fine print that we're all thinking with this. So, all right, guys. Well, that's going to be it. Now it's time for you guys to fire back. What do you think? Let me know. Hit me up, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com, or find me on Twitter or the Facebook group. The Facebook group, of course, I post a lot of stuff there on there all the time. It's the best place to communicate with me. But let me know, do you think this Joker film is a good idea? What are your thoughts on the Batman news? Do you think they're thinking prequel or something totally separate? Do you think they're abandoning the cinematic universe? I mean, really, again, I don't know, because it's like they're throwing darts at a board, It's like every little piece of news you hear doesn't seem to connect to what is logical, and I don't get it. Maybe you guys do. Fire back. Let me know if you are making sense out of all this, because I sure as hell am not. So that's going to be it for me today, guys. Until next time, may the Force be with us all.